White he is taking vacation. So he asked me to sit in his spot and I will try to navigate us through the financials here. So I took a look, so I think does everybody get a copy of the expenditures? So, okay, so I don't know if you guys had a chance to look those over. Overall, county general's used about 60% of the budget for the year, so not bad, we're, right there. Each department has kind of been broken down. OEM is running just a little bit high, it's at 67%. I don't know that that's anything to cause alarm, but it's a little bit up, but overall, everything seems to be looking pretty good. Were there any questions or any observations that you guys had that you wanted to take a look at directly? All right, well then we'll just move right along. So the next thing on the agenda is the construction fund. So the Energy and Property met last week, and unfortunately I wasn't able to be there, but Justice Ash chaired the meeting, so if you'll just give us an update.
Well, the short version is the architects think that the October date is wishful thinking. And looking at it from building inspector standpoint, I think that that's a little bit wishful, maybe November, mid-November, early December, because I haven't heard if the elevators arrived yet, but that is a 6 to 8 week install. And they have to get them here first, and we were supposed to have an elevator inspection, I think this week, and they won't even ship them till after that inspection. They wanna make sure that everything is ready. We talked about the Osceola project. There was, some stuff that they were wanting to do down there, and it was, they were estimating 50,000. I think we've got roughly 32. They thought it might come in a little less than that. So they're gonna proceed. We're gonna adjust that after it's all said and done. We are asking for $1 million to be appropriated into the budget, or the construction fund budget, as we pretty much expended what was there, or we're expecting enough to expend most of it. Aaron is comparing his figure that he got for the x-ray machine and the metal detector, because they had originally gotten a figure of about 35,000, and he said he didn't even think it was from Homeland. But it could have been, but they wanted to compare it, see what the bells and whistles were, why the big difference was.
Makes sense, yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Well, all right, so Energy and Property is, and I'll just remind everyone that we did not make an appropriation last month because we had quite a bit of money left over and the timing and dates didn't really work itself out. So it does seem like it's more than normal, but this is after 2 months, so.
Molly, going back 2 or 3 years, and the ones that are here will remember, there's about, and I walked off without my iPad, there's, at one time, I think it's around $250,000 in the Osceola Law Library account.
Okay.
And there was some discussion with the person in charge of that about applying that to some things that need to be done in the Osceola courthouse, and sort of a promise made that could be done when the time came. You remember, Reggie?
We did discuss that, I've forgotten about it.
And that's,
Okay.
if the time is here, I mean, the time's here.
I think the time is here.
And if, I don't know, there's been a change down there now, I think, and I don't know who's in charge of it now.
I don't either.
But that money could be put to very good
Yeah.
use.
It's a good idea. Okay.
Catherine still may be part of it.
Maybe. was when some things were going on up here, and anyway, there wasn't a promise made, but it was indicated that there's a good chance that could be used or something down there.
It might be.
I thought that they got it okay.
Ma'am,
I thought they got it okay.
I'm pretty sure they got it.
Cause it was Catherine and my brother Donald, and I think they said okay. But Donald's not there anymore, so I don't know who's filling in.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's been sitting there ever since I've been on the court, just growing.
No, I'm sure there's certainly some things that they could, I do believe that this last little bit of money down there, that will pretty much take care of everything on the exterior, isn't that?
I think so.
I think so, I'm pretty sure, but that will, we still, in the construction budget, we still have a contingency, what's that, $125,000, I think?
$125,000.
And then,
254 undesignated.
undesignated, so we still have some money left, that we're hopeful we'll be able to use in OCL, and if you add that to the chip in 250, that would really be some substantial, you know.
It could certainly
Yeah.
be used.
But there's not 250 in
But
there
they
now,
do the 250.
it's 190.
Well, we better get on. Sounds like they're spending it.
Somebody bought some books again.
Computers.
It was over 200
Yeah, it was.
at one time, 30 or 40 or something.
I would call Catherine, but she's on vacation this week. So we're
All right.
gonna interrupt her.
Or whatever it is, it's,
Let us know, that's certainly something to look into, I'll see if I can, or Betty, if you wanna check into it, maybe at the next energy and property, we can talk about it a little.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll check with Catherine and see, she'll know exactly who's over it.
Okay, that'll work. All right, so we just, need a motion to do the,
I'll do the motion to, allocate $1 million towards the appropriation towards the construction fund.
all right.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion, any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Okay, so I'm gonna now kinda turn this over to Jake and Kelly a little bit. So last month, as everybody, remember, we appropriated $200,000 for, to start paying some of the insurance claims. So we just kinda need to work through this just a little bit on, what the line item's going to be, and we felt like maybe that would just be in under miscellaneous. And then actually how the process is going to work for starting to pay the claims, if we are going to have, a third party or an outsourced person go, or I guess we need to hire them. That's one thing, and then once, if they're gonna give the recommendation on which one should be paid, you know, is Jake gonna sign off on that, is the judge gonna sign off on that, and then Kelly sends the check, we just need a little bit of,
Well, I can just put it to the court. These are the two options we've been given. Jeremy is a big fan of just going to the original third-party group. I talked to Dr. Cullom at the economic tax thing on the front end of it, and he said that the woman he wanted was actually a conflict, but she would provide us with everything we needed to just do it in-house. So that may be a discussion that me, Judge, and Dr. Cullom need to have, and maybe with Jeremy too. And I know he's only free on Fridays, so maybe we could do that this week and have something ready for the court Tuesday.
Okay, the only problem I see there is trying to do it in-house. Who's gonna have the time to do that? That's gonna be an awful lot of phone calls.
That's what we ran into before.
Could we do it through Performance Health?
Jeremy's a big proponent of that, I'll just say
Well,
that.
let's be honest.
Practically,
They've
they
got
can't do
the
it.
contract. They had the contract, so they know what people are supposed to get paid, and they really can't argue with it. You know, and as I had pointed out to me, I want these bills paid directly, or I would like to see them paid directly to the provider, not, if they don't wanna pull it back from collections, then they can wait for mediation to finish. Because, this thing, we've sat on it for too long. And if we can get Performance Health to do it, I think that would be our better bet.
I agree with
That's
that, but
just
isn't that the problem though, that maybe, that Jeremy was running into, is that we can't force their hand and make them do it in a timely manner. I think that's what the issue's been all along.
The last phone call I had with Jeremy about it, which would have been the week after their most recent trial term, 2 weeks ago, he said if we put the money in their hands, they'll start work tomorrow.
Okay, well, that's what my understanding is that, I mean, they had no incentive, I guess, to get it done, and that's why it's drug as long as it has. So if we give them, but it's because they were unfunded is why they had no incentive, is what Jeremy's saying.
More or less.
Okay.
I think just as a
With
matter of
them,
courtesy, Dr. Cullom should probably get a heads up, cause he was the one to do it, and I would rather just convince him directly if we do wanna go that way, to do Performance Health. Just courtesy, or we could just do it.
I'm not arguing about the courtesy, but would it not be true that they've already got the information, because they've already issued the EOD, and they would just write the checks and be done with it.
Now, Jeremy, at one point, last I was in communication with him, mentioned that the third-party administrator had changed from Performance Health. And that's why that wouldn't be a route we could take.
He told me it'd be Performance Health under that
Okay.
Phoenix DBA they're doing, DBA is Phoenix, but he said Mr. Nickel will put me in contact with him.
Well, okay, so from finance, I said, we have appropriated the money, so the money, the 200,000 is there, and that was voted on last month, and then the line item is,
Right, there was no account number on the ordinance, and I think Peggy had a question about where the money was coming from, I guess.
yeah.
You know.
I was thinking about that, yeah.
I believe it was from general, and the line item was to be updated once we figure out what slot to put it in. Like what, last four, I think it's all we needed, correct? Yeah, it was gonna come from general.
So like other county, like county general, other county?
The 1,500.
Well, I thought it was coming out of the
We're gonna have to
CD.
cash in a CD, or use one of those CDs to do that.
Well, I mean, it depends on how much money we spend at one time, but at the last court meeting, I don't know, I didn't have an amendment in my package to that ordinance that we passed, you know, that says slot number and fund number, and you remember there was a little bit of confusion about all that. I didn't have an amendment. I don't know if there was one or not.
I don't
I
think,
think I have received one since then, I'll look.
Yeah, I have the amended ordinance right here. I believe I sent it to Judge Admin and everybody else. Just give me 1 second, I'll pull it up.
We just, you know, determined we do not need to set up a separate fund, but we need a line item.
We did amend it in the meeting, I don't remember how, I'll let him look it up, because he's got it.
and Aaron, we may, I feel like that, I feel kinda like a broken record. We may need to try to talk with Jeremy and kinda get an insurance meeting going to really work out,
Yeah. I'm all for that, if Jacob can find a time when it works for everybody.
okay,
And he'll be able to attend.
yeah, or even if he could attend the meeting next week.
Full court meeting,
Yeah,
that'd be
I will gladly ask Jeremy. I just believe he is packed end to end, because it's hard to get a phone call with him where he's wanting to talk about it. He's prepared to talk about it, but I'll shoot him a text after this year. It's just a matter of him and Dustin are both doing prosecution. They're just kind of taking it day by day,
Yeah.
especially with jury trials or stuff coming back up.
Well, maybe if he could just even be on the phone at a
Yeah.
meeting.
no, that's good, yeah, that's positive. I mean, it just, I don't know, and I would agree with whoever said it as well, I don't know that we can do this in-house. I don't know whose responsibility that would be, and when they would have the time, and so.
Would this not need to go through the judge's office? I mean, the judge will have to sign these on it.
Well, that's,
In actuality,
okay.
if we deal directly with performance, we would appropriate the money once, the judge would sign it to them, and then they would do the distribution.
Well, that's what I was
That's
wondering.
what
So
I'm
we
saying,
would-
wouldn't the line item just go under the judge's budget?
I would think it would.
I don't know that it would matter, but I heard some discussion of other county that may be more representative, get it out of the judge's office. But you know, there is there's a protocol of how those line items are distributed in the budget. I'm not exactly sure what it would point to send that, where you send that money, but I would think other county would cover it.
Well, that's what we were, miscellaneous or other county or something, you know,
And then give it a line item descriptive about what the expenditure is gonna be used for. And of course, if performance does it, I think 2 set of eyes would be good to have on it, perhaps Jacob's signature and then as well as mine, I think that would be a good. Maybe performance, Jacob and mine.
right, so, would we, so, just so I'm clear in my mind, so, would we send them all the money at once? And then just send us a copy of the bills they or the claims they
No,
paid?
yeah.
Go ahead, Judge.
I would think that we would, send them the claims, or they've already got the claims, the ones that they're prepared to move forward on, and they could send those like it's an invoice.
Okay,
They could sign it, Jacob could sign it, I could sign it, and they could go out.
okay,
That makes sense.
does that work?
And yeah, in terms of the money, I do know we appropriated 200,000 and it was 600 and some change in full. And they said they just wanted to do it on a need by need basis, cause it very well could be that we need much less than that 600,000.
Okay, so again, the 200 is gonna get us started then. Okay, so did y'all work out with,
Yes, it was my fault on the account, being wrong, but I'll circulate that one right now.
okay,
Did you
Alright.
find the amendment on the ordinance?
Yes, yeah, I pulled it up and edited it right now, so I'm gonna circulate that, then the original email where I went through what all the amendments were, and I'll send it to everybody.
So
alright,
you
well,
just want other county like miscellaneous?
I think
Is
so,
that-
I think so.
But to be clear, are we taking it out of county general, or are we taking it out of a CD?
It was supposed to go to reserve, so it's gonna be CD, fully.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I think it just depends, if there's enough money in there without having to use a CD, she'll just,
I got you.
we'll just pay it out of
Okay.
county general, but if there's not, then,
Okay.
yeah, we'll have to use it.
Usually pretty flush now. That starts getting lean, falls the cash flow.
Cash flows.
All right, let's see, so, okay, so that handles that, so, we'll pick, okay, y'all just help me if you remember this, so last year during COVID, we, passed the emergency ordinance, or the state of emergency, I guess, ordinance, is that right? Which covered, the employees and gave them, I guess, a personnel policy for sick leave and, or not sick leave, but COVID leave.
What we did was basically as long as the emergency was in existence, if someone was exposed to COVID or contracted COVID, then they were paid and it was not charged against their sick leave or vacation time. So basically, we were paying for people who were off. Because COVID it's not as rampant as it was, but we are ramping back up. We're gonna have a personnel committee meeting, I think we're gonna do that Thursday at 1:30. Because I've got the CDC guidelines and we will recommend a new policy to deal with COVID.
I'll add that we have at least one case of COVID on county employees right now.
Well, what I'd like to recommend everyone is that we follow CDC guidelines and use it, because I'm seeing this more and more. I don't know if anybody saw it on the news. St. Jude just came out with a policy that all their employees have to be vaccinated. If they're not vaccinated or have started the vaccination process for a certain period of time, they'll be off for 2 weeks. If they have not started by the end of the 2 weeks, they will no longer be a St. Jude employee. And I'm finding this more and more. Not gonna go that far, but we may use the vaccination as far as whether you're paid or not and how you're paid.
Well, and let me add add something to that, you know, there are gonna be some reasons that some people are not able to take, or advised not to take it based on health reasons.
And in fact, will be taken into consideration, but they'll have to provide medical proof.
I mentioned earlier before the meeting too, one thing that we could always look at is, some sort of incentive to employees to get the vaccine. I know, some employers are doing that, the state is doing that, as Harley said, with a lottery ticket, a free fishing license. I mean, it can, I don't know how well that's really working at the moment, but, all sorts of different things I think that we need to think about, to improve the vaccine rates.
Adele?
Since this is finance, to address that issue, Kelly, there's some sort of, tax credit for employers who pay people to be off on sick leave, where we can actually get a credit for the employee payroll taxes on our 941s. Are we eligible for that? Okay. Well, I didn't know, since we're an employer that pays employer taxes, I don't know how you would, but I have
It's
around.
something to do with government.
Okay.
I'll get it to you.
No, I believe you. I wondered if government was exempt from that. I had not read all that.
Well, and especially moving forward, with, since we have received funds, the CARES Act funds, we have some, we would have some money that I would think would be eligible for a use like that if we decided to do it, something, an incentive, a monetary incentive, I would think, but, I don't know. Okay, so we'll just leave that to personnel. We'll let them take care of that. Yeah, so that's all to you. So no, we don't need any action there, and so now I'm gonna turn over to Mr. Henry. He's gonna talk with us about some, equipment. I think he gave everybody. Oh, I got it. Come on.
I apologize that I didn't print out enough. I'll get you one. Okay, so when Stephen left, the equipment that he was using to record was his own. And so we have been using my phone, but as if you've gone and looked at it or online, you could tell that it doesn't pick up the audio. It's just not to the level we want it to be. So what I did is I reached out to him and said, what were you using? What recommendations do you have? What did you learn so that I don't repeat your mistakes, that kind of stuff, okay? And he was using OBS, and the only reason why I put that here is to let you know how many different processes are happening at one time. And because of how many processes are going on one time, then it requires a laptop that has quite a bit of kick, So in order to live stream our meetings or whatever we want to live stream adequately, we need to get a laptop with a higher than average performance capability, a high definition camera, a shotgun microphone, memory devices, cables, that kind of thing. So in the packet is all the information and more than you could possibly want, probably. And the second page, I went and looked up what the recommended specs were for the laptop in order to run the OBS. And then I went and picked a computer that would meet that need. And so if you want any of the specs, they're in there for the camera, the laptop, everything. But the bottom line is, I'm asking that we're to be allowed to buy a Dell G715 gaming laptop. The reason why I chose that unfortunate name, because I won't be gaming, but it is those laptops are designed for a person to be able to do high graphic games and stream at the same time. So with that, then we should be able to certainly live stream. The camera, it's not the exact camera that he had, but it's the same brand, and it's a slightly different model. And then you can see the back page on that packet tells what I'm asking for. Some SD cards, a shotgun video microphone, video capture card, and some cords. So, are there any questions about the laptop? Oh, one more thing. When I put this together, I realized that I gave a price for the computer, but I did not add the price of warranty. So I looked it up. I don't know if we do warranties, I don't know if you want warranties. But I have the prices for those here also, okay? For a full accidental damage included, hardware support, all that stuff, it's 1 year is 110, 2 years is 110, 3 years is 280, and 4 years is 360. Does anyone have any questions about the camera or the laptop?
What's your grand total?
Grand total, I did not come up with a grand total, and let me explain why. The Dell prices kind of fluctuate from when you grab them, plus it's in the middle of July, so they have a Christmas in July price, so. I should have totaled it up anyway.
2778.92 based on this sheet.
And that's
here
without the warranty,
Without
yeah.
the warranty, so $3,000 with the warranty, and that's what, these are probably before tax probably too.
You got 3,500.
Have you looked at the MSI laptops? I've got one that's pretty much the exact same specs, and it would save about 500 on the laptop.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the MSI.
It's a brand, MSI, they make gaming laptops, they're pretty renowned.
Okay.
And it would save about 500 there.
Okay, what I did is I went to some of the reviewers and magazines, and they have their list of, this is the top 5 in 2021, and then I knocked off the Rolls Royces and got just something that's a little bit more.
Have you checked on the state contract to see if any of this is available through state contract?
I have not done that.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is available on state contract, if you check, maybe able to get it cheaper than that, and it's a purchase order type thing.
Okay.
The camera, I just bought one not too long ago to do some basic stuff, and I don't think I paid about $300 for, it had really good reviews for like doing Facebook Live type stuff. Is this the kind of camera, this looks a lot fancier than the camera that Steven had, is this
No,
the camera he had?
it's not fancier, it's a different model, it is. But the one that he had, I couldn't get. And so this is the one that, right.
Well, I will tell you, no,
I'm just
Yeah, he
surprised
bought
that
it
he
with
spent
his
that
own
much on his own, I knew he bought it with his own money, I'm just surprised he spent that much money on his own.
he and I talked about this, and he did not spend that much money. No, because I had suggested to him, what we suggested to, Mr. Henry is, figure out how much you need. Well, by the next meeting, he had it, and I said, well, did you get the money? He said, that no, he just bought it with his own money, but it was not near as expensive as what he had originally thought that it was going to be, so he just bought it himself.
Yeah, I know my brother-in-law's church bought one too during COVID, and they didn't spend anywhere near that kind of money just to be able to do live streaming on Facebook videos.
Well, I definitely, personally, I do think we need to do something, because I did try to watch one of the meetings last week, and you can't hear anything. It's terrible.
My wife watched, I was sitting in that chair, she said, I couldn't hear a word you
Yeah.
said.
No, I
And it
couldn't
came
either.
on like really late too, cause I
Yeah.
tried to get on it and then I just got off cause I couldn't.
The majority of
Hear
complaints
anything.
I've received about the videos, you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
If we're gonna live stream, folks, if we're gonna be transparent, we need it out there.
I agree with that.
You know.
Well, do we have any suggestions from it? Would you like to see, would we like to revisit maybe after he checks with the state contract, maybe have maybe a couple of different options, maybe a less expensive option somewhere?
I'm not on this committee, but I'm gonna look at you and tell you if he can do it for 3,500. I think that's not bad. And that would be what I'd say, but I would ask him to look at state contract, if we can save him a little bit, save him. But,
Okay.
we've got to get this rolling, because
Well,
I'm hearing
Whatever
complaints
Tom.
from
I tell you,
several people.
why don't we do this, if this is something that the quorum court wants to do, why don't we appropriate the money? And then that'll give Tom a chance to look at the state bid, as well as Aaron's suggestion on a different model, and then compare the specs, make sure it's gonna be able to do what we wanna do, and then if we can save some money, we just won't spend everything. that's
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so,
So are you looking at, 3,500, is that what we're saying?
I think, that is currently what we were thinking, if he went with everything he has, plus the warranty, I'm not sure about shipping or anything, so.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we appropriate $3,500 to buy the cameras for live streaming, but he's gonna go ahead and check other sources to see if we can lower, but we'll go ahead and appropriate the 3,500.
That's a second.
Alright, is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright.
okay.
Alright, and then we'll move to old business. We do have a couple of items in old business, that we need to, oh, I'm so sorry.
I still had two, if it's okay. Okay, so, this next thing is about the website, okay?
Oh, okay.
And so, I think it's been a little while since a change has been made on the website. Additionally, we went and made, this is actually, I think the judge and Stephen had kind of come up with an idea of what they wanted to do with the website. We looked at other counties that are high on the transparency, you know, they score well, to see what they had. What we really did is we kind of picked the best of various counties that we wanted to incorporate. And then Stephen, before he left, he gave that to Brooks Jeffrey, which is a company that we currently use, and they came up with a plan, work order agreement. That's what I've given you a copy of. And then whenever I came in, I looked at it and talked to them in extensive talks to find out what each thing means. I looked at some of the plans that Stephen had in advance. First thing here, first line before I forget, because if I don't, I will forget. A .gov domain, .gov, used to be very hard to get and very expensive to get, but right now, Brooks Jeffrey was telling that you can get those for free because it's a new company or whoever that controls them. So we have applied for a .gov domain, and we should hear back within the next few days. The domain I asked for was mcar.gov. Instead of MississippiCountyAR.org, it would be shorter, it's easier on the emails, less chances of mistyping whenever you're putting it in. But I have not heard back yet on whether or not we will be receiving that. The plan here,
Tom, before you move on from the domain, there was a reason why that, we're gonna have to go to another domain anyway, is that correct?
it is enviable to have a .gov because it is a matter of credibility, clout, that kind of stuff. And so the time, we don't know, it could very well open and close back up to where it would cost, $600 or $1,000 to get the domain. So because it was free at this time, that's the reason why we chose to make the move. It's a matter of, with the opportunity to get one free and to shorten it to make it a little more user-friendly, I thought it was the time.
And then, is there something about next March that?
That's the email that I get to in just a moment. And what he's talking about is in March, we're gonna have to change our email server, our service over, because Brooks Jeffrey will not, they said in this work order that they will not be compliant with some new federal mandate on email, so they have gotten out of the email business as of March of 2022. So we'll talk about that in a minute, what our option is. But some of the design changes that you'll find on the website here is the responsive website. So if you're on a phone, if you're on a tablet, you're on a desktop, it'll adjust for that purpose, whatever it's on. So it looks better, it works better. Also, there's some ADA accessibility issues that fixes. And I'm not gonna read this verbatim, you've got it in front of you. There's a rotator module at the top to where we can kind of put more stuff in front of people's, the homepage is prime real estate, right? It's a one-time setup fee for this first thing of $77.85. I'll give you a grand total in a minute. The next page here on page 3 is a custom form builder module. This is an exciting thing, I believe. It allows us to have infinite number of forms, which we can only get 250 responses per day, which is no problem because even the bigger counties aren't hitting that. But any form whatsoever you wanted to put up on the website for any kind of business that the county does, so a person from home can do business through a website. So here's some recommended uses down at the bottom. Currently, our sheriff uses it for complaints and stuff, so you can see how it looks. If you go to his site, go to forms, and click on one, you'll see how they look. It's on page 3, okay? The thing at the bottom, alert notification via text, and this is subscriber only. So if someone comes on the website, they say, yes, I want to get notifications, that we push out info to them. Then we can send out stuff. If they want out, they can opt out. Page 4 is warrants plus. Now this is where all of the sheriff's warrants, outstanding warrants, can be placed on this page. It can have pictures, it can have the info. And what has happened in other places is it cleared up a great deal. 3/4 of the warrants or half the warrants because people are seeing them saying, hey, this is where the guy is. Or, hey, you don't know this, but he's dead. Okay? So I'm just... social media feed, I do not recommend the social media feed on the home page because if somebody wants to be difficult and mean, somebody wants to start talking some kind of junk online that we can't control what's on that page, then it could just, and that's the front door. Somebody comes to our website, wants to learn about the county, think about putting business in or something, and they see some squabbling or some childishness, so I don't recommend that. There's a section here, staff member module. This is a password protected area that employees you can put up HR, you can put up employee handbooks, you can put up vacation requests, whatever within that password protected area. Special alert module, that would be at the very top of the page. The web page would be in red and it'll have something. So if we had something we needed out right now, let's say, I don't know, I'm just making it up of free vaccines and go up there, or a road, please avoid road, whatever, it can be thrown up there at the top.
Amber alert.
Amber alert, exactly.
Silver alerts.
Exactly. All right, the next thing is county locations. This will be a Google map and a picture of the property or whatever that we can put locations where all of our facilities are. That way they don't just get an address, they can see how to get there and they can see what the building looks like, all that. Now, to do this, on page 6, we have to go to the advanced. We were kind of maxing out on our data anyway. So this one is the reoccurring annual cost of $29.95. So the bottom line is, if I can find where I wrote it down, is to be a one-time one-time fee. Now this is a building from scratch. This is a building from scratch website, and they're moving all of our existing web page over to it. It's customized anyway. So the one-time fee is $25,420, and then the $29.95 each year.
What's the $77.85 on the last, where it says investment, on the very last page, investment $77.85 for the upgrade? I thought that's the figure we were looking at, and then
So the upgrade is, the 7785 is page 2, these others are the other options that I mentioned to add on top of that.
So is the 7785 included in that 25,000
Yes.
figure you just gave?
The 25,000 includes the 7,700.
And it includes the first year of the 2995, I assume. The recurring billing hosting fee, that's recurring, I assume that's,
I would think.
I believe so.
that would be-
And you know, the reason for doing it is it's the face of the county. It is, it needs to be a top-notch website. We can be efficient doing some business that does not require, you know, a person to come to the office. We can, you know, it helps them, we can get messages out to them quicker. And if we're serious about going to #1 in the state on transparency, then we need some of these things to do that.
Yeah, and going back on some history, when Stephen first came on board, that's what I told him his #1 job was, is to get us to the #1 ranked county in transparency. And we've come a long way. We've come from 67th to 17th. But we knew early on that the site that we had wasn't gonna accommodate everything that was gonna be necessary to get to the top position. So, he and I had a plan of, we'll go as far as we can, we'll find out what we need after we exhaust the website that we had, and then we'll assess it at that time. So that's what we had done, just prior to him leaving. So everything here has to do with gaining that #1 position. It's never anything about aesthetics. And the 25,000, is I think a reasonable amount, considering that Brooks Jeffries does not want us to go in somewhere else. And so, and if we went somewhere else, they'd have to rebuild it from scratch and charge us, and Brooks Jeffries is not doing that.
And I can tell you, since I've been here, I've called them a number of times, and their service for me has been excellent every single time.
so that's the current, Brooks Jeffrey is the current hosting company of our current website.
That's
Is that
correct.
what you're
And they do probably the majority of the websites for county government and state.
Well. Okay, and then so everybody would get a new email address again.
Well, email, I'll tell you about that in just a second. So they will not be doing email after March.
I see, because that's right, you mentioned
Yeah,
that.
currently
okay.
they're doing the email, but after March, they will not be.
Okay, so there's another
So-
amount of money in this third package for that, is that what that third
Yes,
one
sir.
is?
Oh, but, then I'm confused. So we won't, so you're hopeful that we'll get the .gov and that's where the emails are gonna come from?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm confused.
So currently they're doing our emails, but they're getting out of it, so I had to find another provider.
Is that in here?
And so that last little 4 pages
Oh,
is a proposal by them,
proposal.
but it's through Microsoft 365. And the reason why it would benefit us is because it's a little cheaper to go through them. And they'll help with the migration and everything so that we don't lose any of data. So I'll go into the email real quick then. I asked them how many email accounts and a list of them from the county, so I knew how many we was talking about. And so you have a page on the back of that little Microsoft 365 section, you have a list of every current county email address. Now, the problem is, there were times where you have overages because of, you know, the fact that you don't delete emails. And so with the solution that I came up with, or that we're trying to tell you about, is unlimited, okay? There are different levels here with the Microsoft 365. as cheap as $4 per account per month. The support would be through Microsoft 365. Essentially, we're getting the licenses through the Brooks Jeffrey computer store, but not through their provider service. You have here, if you go up higher, if you choose to, then you have certain tools you see at the bottom here, like, Outlook, well, it has to be Outlook, but Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and then these will keep you, if you chose to go that high, I'm not asking for that, but if you go that high, it would continually be updated. So if they have an update, you get the update. It doesn't cost more. Also, there's some team tools that some people could find helpful.
And we didn't know exactly what decision to make there, because we're not sure what the other offices use. Our office does use all of those, PowerPoint, the Word, Excel, and the calendar. We use all of those, but we're not sure about what all the other offices use, but I think there would be some value in always being up to date, rather than 3 or 4 years from now, something not working correctly, and then you find out that you're way behind and you shift everything over.
So technically, I'm bringing you info that the email's coming down the pike. I'm not actually asking for anything today on the email, because I need to know how many accounts. There's some elected officials that their offices don't use county email, they use Gmail.
Yeah, I don't think that's very professional.
I agree.
I've noticed that actually. I asked for a bunch of email addresses for the county officials, and I noticed that several of them were Gmail, which makes them appear to be personal emails, which I think might could be an issue with FOI.
I agree.
Personally, and so that's something I do think that all the elected officials should be using a county.
Right, and I agree. But keep in mind, these are two totally different issues. The website is what we're here
Right.
about.
So do we
We're
currently
just-
pay a fee to the, for the website?
For the website, we have, yes, we have yearly.
Okay, how much is that?
That I don't know.
That was something handled in y'all office, I don't know, I'd have to look and see.
I could find out. I
I
do
mean,
not
just
know.
to see what the increase, I mean, I understand,
Well, there is going from a basic to an advanced too, so it is going up.
Right.
So let me say one last thing here about the email, because this is not what I'm gonna ask for eventually. But this is based on 20 accounts, which I wanna go a little higher and get everybody at the county. This is based on them helping us migrate. All the emails that are in this office will go from this, Mississippi County AR.org. They'll migrate over to the new one. And so that's the estimate for that. But I told them we're probably not gonna do that in the next month or two, right? And so he said that I'd need to come back and get a different proposal, make sure that it's accurate at that point. But I wanted you aware of this, because this is gonna be coming down the pipe.
Tom, I think Jacob had something.
Has anybody went through the municipal league and asked him who they usually do to get county government websites? How do they handle a bunch of that for most counties?
Well, I would say, just going and looking at the counties like I've done, I would say the overwhelming majority of Arkansas counties are using Brooks Jeffrey.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Were you talking about the domain or the actual domain name is what you were talking about?
Just setting up
You said
every
with the
county
website.
with government website.
I got you.
I would contact them, but I have active litigation against them. But I would contact the municipal league and holler at them, because if nothing else, they'll tell you what grants to apply for to get it. And do it the cheapest way possible.
You talking about the municipal league as opposed to the Association of Arkansas County?
Well, I guess it would be more or less the same thing. Municipal league would be,
The city
the
version?
city, but they share an office to that, I believe. I think Laney works with both of them. They don't share an office? They don't? Okay, well, no.
Okay, so are you asking for anything today?
I'm asking for the website. If not, then, if you have questions, I can get your answers. The email, I'm not asking for anything today, because I need to know how many accounts, I need a little more detail on that. But it is coming, relatively soon. I have to have months in advance so that it goes smooth. I don't need to come in February to do it.
Okay, but what package, yeah, there are about 5 different packages on there. What are you looking at asking for on that email?
I think all those, yeah, everything that's included in there is what we're asking for, the ones
So
that.
the one that is $20 a month per user?
Yeah, it looks like that, the premium, yeah.
Well, I don't even think he's even asking for that right now today, right?
No. but
Nothing on
what
emails.
we need to know looking down
Right,
the road.
there's another request coming right behind this.
So basically, we'd be looking at 400 a month
Nothing
on
on
that.
emails, only, just giving you a heads up on emails, cause the other one's gonna expire at some time,
Right.
well, next month.
See, this is what I planned on doing. I planned on finding out how many I need on accounts.
Right.
Find out who all needs Office in these tools. If you don't need it and all you need is a $4 account, then that'll be a $4 account.
So we can mix and match. It's
We can
not-
mix and match.
Everybody has the same, okay.
We can mix and match.
That's what I was.
And we haven't polled all the different departments to find out. what
And
they
if
need.
we go through Microsoft Direct, it's more expensive than going through them. But, I'm talking about licenses. But Microsoft gives us the support if there's any problem, that's who you call, so. And I've used it before, so.
Well, and the updates are nice, that way,
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, well, I know on your committee, I will say this, I don't even know how long, I know our maps used to be on there, the district maps for the
They're still there.
Warren Court members and
Yeah, I think they're
everything
still on
else.
there.
Yes, they're still there.
I had trouble finding it last time I looked, it was down, so. You know, we updated the one for economic development, and I don't think it was as reasonably priced as this one. So, yeah, I think we need to stay up to date, we need to do as much as we can to be transparent. I don't see a problem with it. But like I say, I'm not on the committee, so.
Yeah.
Currently have it.
The one we have currently is mobile responsive, I'm sitting here on it, I've never tried that before, but it actually is pretty mobile responsive.
Well, okay, you've given us a lot of information. So,
And these, the needs was based off, University of Central Arkansas's department that monitors all the counties, so, if you wanted to reconcile these requests versus that, you can go through there and it's easily seeing what, the different areas that they, grade the different counties on.
are you saying they grade the counties, based for transparency purposes?
Well,
or-
they grade it, yeah, it's all has to do with transparency, and then they have the list that they grade is extensive. So you would, in order to gain a higher score, then you would have to have each one of these areas that, that the information is made public, and through the website is how they grade that.
So on like these add-ons, it says like up to 250 like submissions.
Right.
Is there like a lower package than that, or is that like the basic upgrade, like when I'm looking at each additional option that we're choosing? Cause I know you said that that's mostly what like the bigger counties use.
I don't believe there's another. I think that's just, if you get the form builder, that's what, but they max out they max it out at 250. I don't think there's a smaller though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's, all of these are really options because we're not moving, website companies. It's Brooks Jeffries now, and it'll continue to be Brooks Jeffries. So in order to meet the needs, that we're gonna have, then all of these are add-ons. It just increases the website that we already have.
On the alert notification, the video text, that 2385, is that I mean, those are usually like subscriber fees, is that recurring, or is that
All those fees are one time except for the $29.95 each year.
okay, so so like there's not a charge for us or there's not a cap number of text messages or things of that nature? Most of the ones I see, there's, you know, you've
Oh,
got
it's,
different
there
packages.
is, it's, I read that, but it's like $100, text overages billed at $100 per 10,000 text over per month if active.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it's not, yeah, so.
Okay, well, I knew that they're usually the ones that I've used, do have that. That actually is kinda neat to be able to notify, counties of different things. The warrants plus, is that something that's in addition to what, I thought the sheriff's new website already has all that information on his page. Doesn't it? The warrants?
I'm not sure what he's got on his page.
He's completely revamped the website for the sheriff's department fairly recently,
Yes.
and it's got all kinds of information, cause I look at it all the time for various reasons, but I don't know that I looked at warrants.
Which one get on file?
Okay, so just so we're clear, we most definitely will have to do something with the, emails before March. But the website, you're just wanting to update the current website, right? It's not, there's not anything necessarily wrong with it, other than it just needs to be updated and kinda overhauled, is that right?
Needs to be expanded.
Yeah. We just need, okay.
Want to improve it, make it more functional so we can do the things we're trying to accomplish. And it's also
Yeah,
efficient.
we've exhausted, the package that we.
And they were saying that the data we're at the max anyway. So,
Yeah. And we already are, the 25,000 is the one-time, the setup fee, and we are already currently paying something yearly, but, so it would not necessarily be a full increase on the 20, whatever the annual fee is.
let me see this one page, see if it told.
I got 22,920 when I add up like all the starting, I might be missing something, I don't know. Like the one-time fee of 77.85, and then I just went down the list and I just added each like upgrade where, you know, it gives you an amount. And I included that social media, which you said you wouldn't wanna do, but when I add up,
Tom,
I
did you
could've
have yours
missed something.
itemized?
I could've missed something.
What I did, and my math may be wrong, so I encourage you to double check me. All I did is I just went through here,
Oh, you
Like
just
she did.
added, just like.
but I was in the middle of all the,
Did
Are
you
the
have a
ta-
check?
Are the taxes added into this
No,
too?
taxes are not in this. And I don't know if we've,
Did you add taxes in on your estimate?
no.
What-
And did your estimate, did the social media package, you said you didn't want that, but it's on here, so,
I haven't checked any of them on that.
okay.
So I'm recommending that we don't do that one.
Right, so we
The
don't
other
need to
ones-
add that $495 that's listed on here into
Correct.
into the figure. So the only one of these items that's on here that you are not requesting?
Correct.
and then on the back, so we would be doing the basic or the advanced yearly,
We're gonna be doing the advance.
okay?
That gives us the more data, plus it's required for some of the things that were picked. Or I'm asking to be allowed to pick.
So what is that, so right under there, it says Brooks Jeffrey billed $600 annual hosting in, 2020
So I got 22,425, taking out that
for August and July.
Unless I'm missing something on this back page. I didn't get it.
So I don't know, I don't know if that was a prorated year, I don't know. That last line says the bill will be $27.45 in July, right? And then I don't know what we were paying right this second, I'm sorry. I can find out and get it to you.
I got the 23,920, I got the same thing you got, 23,920?
Well, I just came at 26,915, did you add in the advance 29.95?
No, because that's a yearly fee, so we
Yeah,
wouldn't be adding that $29.95.
We would on the front.
The first
On the
time,
first
for the
year.
year. But I included that.
I'm
I
coming
got
at
that.
26,915.
Must be missing something on that last page then.
So we would be doing the advance, not the year, not the 14.
77.85.
if you decide to approve this, I will run 3 tapes.
Yeah. We're just gonna have to do the 25 instead.
We let the finance person
Alright, that was
I mean, there might be little things that we're not adding up and it's on there, so. I think we're not adding like these. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't have sales tax in there, but I got 23. Did you put the sales tax in yours?
So,
Because some of it will
So,
be taxed and some of it will be
well,
not.
that's what the
Yeah,
last
and I don't
is,
know.
that's what it said,
I
some
don't
of it,
know what all
yeah.
would be taxable on it.
Yeah.
So you got, what did you say you got, Rick?
Well, when I ended up, and I had the yearly
I got the 495.
thing was 26.
I didn't have that.
So they're saying on this is saying that they're gonna charge us $27.45 in July of 2021, and then start $29.95 in 2022. Is what I'm getting at under the.
Yes,
advance.
that's right, yes, I guess they would prorate,
Yeah, because they're saying they're gonna bill us, you know, so they're billing us $27.45 till July of 2021, and then we'll bill $29.95 annually starting July of 2022.
And they're also, it looks like, throwing in a secure certificate for the website too.
Yeah, it includes credit cards.
How soon would we need to do this? How soon are you wanting to try to do this?
I'm wanting to do this as soon as possible so that we can get it all migrated over, make our adjustments, get it running before UCA comes looking again.
Personally, I think I'm kind of with everybody else, it's 25 is a lot, but on the transparency end, I see where it needs to be done.
What,
What about that software we even proposed to us, the software about the transparency, where is that? That's something totally different too, isn't it?
I would, you're right, I forgot, what,
If we wanted
yes, what
something like that.
did we talk about,
It was cheaper than the land and building.
what was that?
Yes, actually, it's a lot.
That
It was
was,
some
it was
software,
something
yeah.
where they could look up all
But see, we're already with
ordinances.
Brooks
and
Jeffries.
So is that gonna be on our website, cause we talked about that being on
There
our
should be a
website?
link to it from this page, wouldn't it?
I'm sorry?
Would there be a link to that software that we just agreed to, that will have all of our new ordinances? People will be able to go in, it's interactive, and they can look up ordinances, they could look up,
You talking about Municode, is that what you're talking about?
yes.
Okay, so we can put any link we want to we can do that, yes.
So there, we should have a hyperlink where they could go, they could get on there and they wanna know, they would click on that. But we're paying, what, $4.95 a year for that, or, it was relatively inexpensive.
Yeah, I know that one.
We haven't contracted with the Unicode yet. We weren't sure that was the direction we wanted to go. We did some further research.
We did a webinar, and the county clerk was on it, and I was on it, and we was asking questions. We was finding out about it's the searchability. You don't put tags and markers or whatever in your stuff. It's OCR, where whenever you upload a PDF, then it scans it, and then the categories is a little bit awkward. It's not specifically government minded, and so it's a little bit. I talked with the county clerk on what she would like to use it for. I told her I would like ordinances, resolutions, minutes, but all the other things that has personal information, marriage license, that kind of stuff. Of course, that would take some, in her opinion, some redaction. So that's not necessarily as firm as what we thought.
We're thinking we may not go that way.
Exactly, we might decide not to go that way.
Okay, so, let's see, I feel like we all are pretty much in agreement that we may need to update the website. We know that the deal with the the emails, is this something we wanna take a minute and everybody read all the information? Do we wanna take any action today, or?
I personally think that, and I'm not on this committee, but there's just a little bit of confusion about what the actual total number is, which is kinda hard to make it, I mean, we've all sat here and got three different numbers.
Why don't we just, delay this then? Tom will, can itemize all these different add-ons and then email them to you, and then we can just revisit this next month.
I think so, I think that'll work.
There's no real huge hurry.
Right.
Like I said, the idea in the beginning was exhaust the website capabilities that we had, and then assess it, find out what we're gonna need, and then go from there. Stephen did probably half of this. I asked Tom just to pick up where he left off, and, I think we probably should be more accurate as far as itemizing, and, we'll get that out as an email. Tom, do you see any problem with that? And then we'll mail it out, and then we can revisit this next month.
One last word, if you'll let me, about the emails because of the March. We have to work back a couple months so that we can get everybody set up and everything. So I won't be coming in February, I'll be coming a couple months from now, okay?
We'll get the information from all the departments about what they need.
And also, when you bring it next time, just let us know which one you would like, and which one you don't, so then it's all there, like, this is what
Okay.
I need.
Right.
And then we know exactly
Right.
what we're looking at.
It'll look just like that, but it'll have the numbers that I can say, I need this, I need that, I need this. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, no action there, so we'll just, now we'll move to old business. Thank you, that's very informative, and I appreciate you taking care of that for us. All right, we talked about that, where did my agenda go? Okay, so we do have a little bit of, housekeeping here with Harley's department. So, Harley has had a vacant slot since the beginning of the year. It has been asked, or he has mentioned that he is not going to refill that spot. He would like to do away with it. But we have several people in that department that are not at midpoint. So that money was budgeted for this year. So what we were discussing is using the money from the empty slot, or the not filled slot, in order to bring everybody that's not at midpoint up to midpoint. So the salary for the empty slot was $34,923. In order to bring everybody to midpoint, it would cost us $13,421. So it would not be, we would not be using all of the money. And then Social Security and retirement is another, $3,100. So total would be $16,503, is what we are looking to kind of disperse out over the rest of his employees in order to bring them up to midpoint. I have looked, I don't feel like I feel like this is probably a pretty good thing. We have, in comparison to other counties our size, I think that this is a good move. I think we could use one less person. I think this would help everybody as far as with the midpoint, and salaries. And in the end, it will save us a little bit of money. So.
That 16,000 to the end of this budget period.
Yes, this 16,000 actually would be, I guess, retroactive. So we would do the entire year, and that's what it would cost us from the entire year, yes. And then we would move forward at that, or whatever, or however we decided to do the increases or bonuses or whatever we decide to do.
The 16, wait, so tell me again, is it?
That's what it costs us for the entire year.
For the year? Okay,
Yes.
I didn't know how you were saying the rest of the year.
No, for the entire
It was-
year, yeah.
And we've talked about it,
Yes.
because we're gonna eliminate that slot personnel
guess I should have brought everyone. So these are the people that are above midpoint, and then you have these people right here that are not at midpoint, and so we would just,
How many is there?
Seven. Seven? Yeah.
That's your office, ain't it?
No, he has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, here you go. He has 5, thanks. He has 5 employees that are above midpoint
Oh,
currently.
okay.
So.
So that's basically an $18,000 a year savings. to the
Yes,
county.
that's correct.
And
And not to mention the insurance.
Exactly.
So then when you
That's
tax,
what- That's right,
So,
without benefits, that's
you-
18 before benefits.
yes. So when you tack that on, it is significant savings.
Just pay for a website.
Yeah.
Almost pay for a website. Oh.
I don't know, just me, but I don't see a problem with it. I think it needs to be brought up.
I'll make a motion,
Okay.
to bring 7 of Harley's employees up to midpoint.
Okay. With the use of the slot that's
Yeah.
empty.
we should make that retroactive first year.
Which will make it retroactive the first year.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to disperse the salary and make it retroactive from the first of the year. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
That's fine, Harlan.
I think this is a good move. I think this is the way that we should, a lot of elected officials should be looking at their departments. If they can make it work with less people and more pay, that is certainly
Well, we're getting to the
stepping
point
up.
with everything being online and
Yes.
not very much traffic in the office and all that now.
Yeah, well, and if he can make it work, you think about it, everybody won in this situation. All the employees won, plus the county.
Yeah.
So, it's good. Okay, last, and I'm gonna kinda give this over to Jake just a little bit. We talked several months ago, about, an employee of the county that had a workman's comp claim. And I believe that we voted to continue, she had some additional injuries, that we had agreed to pay. There was a little bit, then there was some discussion that maybe she didn't want the money. Anyway, she has come back and would like that money. I think it's right at $3,000, it's $2,961. And that would release the county of any future, expenses, or with a release from the county for any future expenses. So
Right.
I think that's back on the table.
Well, I thought we did a contract and she signed it already.
Okay, well then there you go. Well,
I thought we already appropriated that.
Yeah, this was back in April.
We did authorize that back then with the condition that we get a signed release. Now, the last I'd heard, we did not have a signed release, and she'd come back and was asking for additional funds.
But now I think it has come back around.
If she's willing to accept the 3,000 that we offered, if you get a release from her, then I don't know that there's an issue, but.
Oh, I thought we already.
I'll need to talk to Justice White whenever he gets back from vacation. I believe the last I'd, heard of this is I gave the contract to him for the release of liability, and I guess she said I need more money.
Well, he brought it up last month at the meeting and said that she had asked for an additional funds. I think it was about $7,000 more,
In total?
Yes,
How much?
about
Seven.
7,000 more.
so a total of 10.
It had increased a couple of times.
But since then, when I spoke with Justice White on Friday, she was back to the 3,000. So we get it, we're good, right? We've already appropriated that money.
Well, we
As
would
long as we
need
get
to,
that signed release.
we would need to do more if she wanted more money. She
No, we're not doing any more.
Okay, yeah, for the
Yeah.
original 3,000, okay.
Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, and then, let's see. Last but not least, I did have Kelly check on one other thing, so the Osceola, Health Department has had, and I don't know where they are currently in their budget. They've had a couple of issues down there with the busted pipe, but they've been painting the inside of their building. And once they got the inside of their building, painted, they realized they might need new carpet. So, they're over budget, due to the pipes, but, we also have some money, you know, we have little CARES money. I think it was not very much money, I wanna say $2,500 to replace the carpeting.
Actually, I have the email. This is new carpet and vinyl base in the conference room and in Mrs. Smith's office and then the base in the employee's bathroom was $1,423.93. And then labor to remove furniture and existing carpet base was $525 for a total of $1,948.93.
That include the carpet, or is that?
That's everything.
Still under the 25.
Pardon me?
Still under the 25.
It's, yeah, it's, $1,948.93. And I can get that email and disperse that out if you hadn't already received it.
If they have a burst pipe, I mean, we've gotta put the building back.
Well, I don't know if I've not seen the carpet, but I do understand when people, you know, when you start making improvements, it usually points out to the things that you haven't improved. And if she's motivated down there and she's got somebody that can do the work and she's got the quote, personally, I think she should go ahead and get it done.
She's done an excellent job on keeping both those buildings up. She's done a lot of painting and we've still got some more to do on the parking lots, but, I think the inside is the most important part.
And right now, our health departments have really, I mean, you know.
They've
Been a lot of
certainly
traffic.
been a
Seen
big
our
asset
traffic.
to us.
Yeah, they certainly have. So, anyway,
Do I make a motion for the amount? What was the amount, Judge?
1,000.
$1,948.93.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and appropriate those funds for the Health Department in Osceola, $1,948.93 for the new carpet and a little bit more renovations that they needed to do.
all right, okay, we have a motion and a second to, for the Osceola Health Department. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. New carpet and base, yay. All right, you guys, I think that's all I have. So,
I think it was possible that you might have longer the bar.
look, I jinxed myself. Okay, I will adjourn.
What?
Oh,
One more thing, just
I'm
an
sorry, I
update.
did not ask the judge if he needed anything.
We had, this just, information, it's not a request, but Thursday, we had a accident at the road department. We were, putting a wheel back on one of our dump trucks. It had one of the wheels one of the tires had to be repaired. So the tire was repaired and then mounted on the wheel, and then that was put into a cage, which is our standard protocol, and it was inflated to 100 pounds of air pressure, which is called for. It's put back on the truck. I understand they had 3 lug nuts tightened, and the tire came off the rim. So it injured 2 of the employees. One was airlifted to, an ambulance was called to come there and assess the trauma. One was airlifted the other conversation about workers' comp. There may be some issues there. I don't know how that, we may, be able to address this in the future, but there is a procedure that you go by, and, you know, anytime you've got an accident that involves trauma and an ambulance and people on the ground it's difficult to make those decisions based off of the handbook. So I don't know that there'll be any big thing that comes up. We're working through them right now, but, both of the employees are home. I think that, they will return in a week, depending on what the CDC advises as far as their COVID exposure. They might have been exposed during that time, so, but both those employees should be back by next week.
Do we have, you know, and I'm looking at it from the workman's comp side, do we have anything light duty if they are not allowed to return to full duty that they can do?
I don't know, but I'll look into that.
Because the less lost time we have, the better for our insurance, for our workman's comp.
One of them, I think, could possibly come back prior to that. He is having some breathing issues from the explosion and the debris that come out of that tire. Both of them, as I know, is having some hearing problems, so, one of them was unconscious when the ambulance arrived, so. No, it was a solid rim, and, I've never heard of a tire that remained intact but come off the rim. Right size rim, right size tire, so, we have tagged the rim and the tire and put them away, so they will be used again. And, we're still researching exactly what the problem was.
Right now, on the CDC side of it, do we know if they were vaccinated?
No, I don't have any idea.
We need to find, request that, because right now, I just had looked up CDC recommendations this morning. If they are vaccinated and they show no symptoms, they don't have to do anything differently, they can come back. If they are unvaccinated, then they have to quarantine for 14 days if they were exposed.
I think they put it down to 10 days now.
Not today, yeah. But, and what is, let's see. If they're not vaccinated, they follow all the CDC recommendations, so, but if they're if they are vaccinated and they don't have any symptoms,